everybody, it's Josie here. I'm coming to you today with some very loud music intro because it explains my latest look that I've decided to dress up as. If you don't recognise that music, it is the fabulous band Hole, fronted by the wonderful, exceptional, amazing Courtney Love. If you haven't noticed, I love Courtney Love. So I've decided to do a bit of a Courtney Love from the 90s look today with the blonde hair and the kind of messy eye makeup. And I've actually combined it with one of my all-time favourite characters, which is Sarah Paulson's character in Hotel, American Horror Story Hotel, because she has that kind of sort of 90s vampire, depressed, I swear she's based that character on Courtney Love look. So I thought I'd go with that today. I mean, to be fair, I probably could dress like this most of the time, but I have to work and I don't know how well that would go down. So anyway, now that the appearance is explained, I am going to talk about what I'm doing in this video. So I am starting a new series on my channel. I find that when I'm doing my wrap-ups that sometimes I want to talk a bit more in-depth about certain books, but you know, due to time constraints, because you don't want a wrap-up video to be about 3 hours long, I can't sometimes really get into what I want to say, and I thought what I'm going to do is I'm going to pick 1, 2, maybe 3, depending on how the mood takes me, books a month, and talk about them a bit more in depth. And I'm also going to pick books that are new releases, or fairly new releases, or classics, because I think then everybody else can join in with the conversation. Please give me your comments, tell me what you think. I'd love to hear what you think of these books, what your opinions are, whether you agree, disagree with me. I think that would be great to hear. But I thought I would start this month with this book over here, and it's A Blade So Black by L.L. McKinney, and I have been dying to read this book ever since I heard this phenomenal kind of synopsis of the plot. And it was one line, and it went, Alice in Wonderland meets Buffy the Vampire Slayer. Drop the mic. I mean, drop the mic. That is, for me, the most perfect sounding book that you could possibly ever write. I mean, if it came with a Courtney Love soundtrack attached to it, I would marry this book. I won't. But it just, for me, that was phenomenal. And the minute this came out, I didn't get my hands on the hardback. The softback came out and I was like, I am there, I'm getting it, I need to read it, even though I do have quite a few books on my TBR this month. But this one I had to sneak in. And overall, I mean, I am so glad I did. The expectations going into it were phenomenally high, obviously, as you can tell by my excitement. So I think it would have been hard for anything to live up to it, but I think it did. It definitely did. I cannot wait to read the next book in the series because I'm almost 100% sure that this is a series. If it isn't, it left me on a massive cliffhanger and I don't know what to do with myself if there's not another book, but I'm fairly sure, hello please, that there is actually another book to come and that this is going to be a series, and I think it's going to be a phenomenal series if that is the case. So let me tell you the premise of this book in more than one line. The idea is that you have Alice, who is our main character, and this is basically an Alice in Wonderland retelling. Now, the reason I was so excited is because Buffy is one of my all-time, or is my all-time favourite television programme, and Alice in Wonderland is one of my all-time favourite classics, and I also love retellings. I think Alice is a very dark fairy tale, and you can really go quite deep and quite dark with retellings, and I really like those, and I like seeing where people take them and reading different retellings. I might actually do a video on comparing different retellings. But anyway, so that is what it is. It's Alice. She is a 17 going to 18, I think, year old high school student in modern day Atlanta in the US. During the day, she lives her normal life, family drama, friends drama, life drama, school drama, quite a lot to deal with anyway. And then she also has this other secret identity, and she is basically a badass, nightmare-killing Alice. So the idea is that nightmares, humans have nightmares, and they manifest, and they basically come alive, and they can harm humans. So what Alice has to do is she has to go into Wonderland, and hunt the nightmares and kill them because they're kind of manifest as monsters, basically. So that's, I guess, where the kind of ass-kicking Buffy element comes in. And it is a phenomenal premise. I think Alal did a wonderful job with this. It's so cool. It's such a great premise. What's also really, really great is that the main character is a person of colour, which is wonderful. So a bit of diversity in the Alice universe. I love that. And that premise of that story is awesome. Now, like I said, expectations are going to be a bad thing generally, because if they're too high, you're no doubt going to be disappointed. And I wasn't disappointed. However, the first third of this book felt very rushed to me. Now, I like a fast pace, I really do, particularly when you're reading something that's action-packed or that's a thriller or horror. I do, if it's too slow, I think that's not great. I do like a well-paced book, let's say. But what I found was that whole synopsis I gave you where, you know, the thing is she discovers this through, there's an incident where she's actually attacked on the street and she's saved by her mentor, and he basically tells her what she is and what she's destined to do. And he trains her up and then she becomes kind of ass-kicking Alice. That whole premise felt like it was just almost like in a film where they tell the backstory by giving you a few sort of snippets of it and then they want to rush into the meat of the story, and that's kind of what this felt like. It was, I wanted to explore that a bit more, and I don't know if Ella's maybe going to do that in the next book, kind of go back a bit, but I did want to explore how, I thought you could have really gone a bit more in-depth about her discovery, because it's quite something to discover about yourself, right? One more day you're a normal teenager walking about, and the next day you've got these magic blades and you're killing nightmares. So I would have enjoyed a bit more build up to the sort of jumping into Wonderland, killing things, and then I guess the meat of this particular story, what really happens in the main half of the book. But I just thought the first third was a little bit rushed. It kind of jumped from one year to the next where she was trained up and she was ready to go and she was ready to fight, and I did feel like you really could have given that a bit more time to build. We could have found out a bit more also about Alice, about her backstory, about her character, and about the world of Wonderland and about these other characters that inhabit Wonderland. So I sort of felt like yeah, when I first started reading it, I was like, oh, that feels really quick. And even though when I then got into the rest of the meat of the story, I loved it. It is wonderful, great fun to read. I flew through this, I absolutely loved it. But that first third, that build up to her becoming the Alice that she is, I really wish it would have been explored a bit more. So that was my, I guess, my kind of negative of the book. The positive is, like I said, once it gets into the meat of the story, it is fantastic. It is fast-paced. There is action all the way. The side characters are fantastic. So there is also, so there's a lot of representation in this book, I would say. So you have obviously Alice, who is a woman of colour, and then you have two side characters who are lesbians. Which is really cool. So you kind of have a lot of representation in this book as well, but it's not written as, you know, oh, I'm going to represent. It's just really natural, and it feels really natural, and it's not awkward, and I thought it was really, really well done. So that's another reason why I adore this book. Like I said, I adore the action. I think Alice as a character is really interesting. And I think she can only get better in the hopefully sequels. It does end on a massive cliffhanger, so there must be another book. But yeah, it is so much fun to read. If you love kind of ass-kicking girls, then get this. I would recommend it. If you love Alice in Wonderland retellings, definitely get it. I would definitely recommend it. It was a 4-star read for me. The only reason I didn't go 4.5 or 5 is because of that kind of slow, not slow, really quick build up, where I felt it should have slowed down in the beginning to actually tell you more of a complete story of how Alice got to be who she is. I think it explores also some heavy themes, everyday themes, loss, violence, a fear. So where Alice lives in Atlanta, there is a lot of fear, particularly around being a person of color, that, you know, you don't do anything that is perceived threatening because, you know, you could get yourself in trouble. That's horrendous, having to live like that. And I think it's very poignant with the Black Lives Matter movement. So if you've read Angie Thomas's amazing book, The Hate U Give, there's kind of a small element of that as well in here. It's obviously not the main focus of the story, but there's definitely that there. So there's that undercurrent. There's that exploration of friendship as well. There's some really beautiful friendships and beautiful friendships that are developing in this book that I think, again, could only be further explored with the rest of the series. There's loss. There's a tinge of romance and love as well, and again I think that'll be more explored probably in the next one, and I quite like that the story did not focus on the romance. So obviously you have the two lesbian characters, so there's a romance building there as well, and then with Alice, however, it wasn't the main focus of the story at all, which I really liked. I like my books heavy on action, light on the romance, or too much romance. There was no insta-love, thank you, in this book at all. It was a real build of, you know, getting to know somebody, and I think it was very authentic in the sense of, I like this person, I hate this person, they have characteristics I like, they have characteristics I don't like, and I think that's very real. I hate when people fall in love and all they see is the shiny, beautiful, good side of everything, because that isn't always the case in real life, unfortunately. So again, that is something I really loved about this book. I would highly recommend it. I think it's interesting. I think it's a different take on the genre. I think it's well written, incredibly accessibly written, some beautiful language, but accessible language. I think it appeals to young adult and adult. I don't think it's exclusively a young adult book. The cover is stunning. Look at the cover, it's beautiful. I do actually like this UK softback version. I think it's a beautiful, beautiful cover. And I 4 stars. If it wasn't for that kind of horridly rushed build up, it would have been a 5-star read for me. But yeah, highly recommend it. Get it, enjoy it, have fun with it, and please, L.L. McKinney, please, please, please write the sequel quickly so that I can read it and enjoy it as much as I enjoyed this one, and even hopefully more. So yeah, that's my wrap up for today. A Blade So Black, loved it. I'd love to hear what you thought if you've read it. What are your thoughts on it? Yeah, and happy Halloween everyone, and see you soon. Bye.